of the Indian Council for Cultural Relations, Mr. Vinay Sahasrabuddhe. Thank you very much, sir. You waited very patiently. You know, I actually wanted to speak to you about an opinion piece that you wrote, and you said that the consecration of the Ram idol at the newly built Ram Janmabhoomi temple shouldn't be just seen as a religious event. You know, this whole debate that we have seen through the last few months has been about how it is a religious event which is being milked politically. What did you mean when you said that it is not just that?
See, because as it happens in India, Ram is not considered just as a Hindu deity. In fact, there is a debate whether it is a mythological kind of a story or it is a part of the history. And there are good reasons, solid enough to believe that it is a part of the history of India. And therefore, the divinity of Ram is not something which is only confined to the Hindu belief system. As it is, we Hindus believe that there is an element of divinity practically in every human being. But that apart, the divinity or the divine element that we see in Lord Ram, as I said, is beyond any particular belief system. There are many Muslims and people who believe in other belief systems as well, who consider that Ram has an element of divinity, and therefore he is worshipped, and more than worshipped, he is seen as an ideal human being, somebody who epitomizes fundamental human values.
You know, you've also made a very interesting comment about how it is a moment of cultural rebalancing. Is celebrating occasions like the Ram Mandir Pran Pratishtha enough to protect our culture from the threat of Western distortions?
Well, it may not be enough, but at least it is a beginning of the beginning. And I have referred to the Gateway of India thing basically as earlier the Gateway of India was a symbol of people entering into India. Now what has happened, that Indian values, Indic values have become so very relevant to the Western world as well, whether it is our value system, whether it is our way of worshipping Mother Nature, whether it is our balancing between the individuality and collectivism. So all these things now the Western people in the West of the world have found it very essential to understand from India. And therefore, Indian culture is now being seen in a different perspective, because it is only in India that cultures have continued without any break on the one hand, and have withstood the onslaughts of the invaders and aggressors. And which is why our External Affairs Minister, Mr. Jaishankar, had in one of his speeches mentioned that time has come that we should have some kind of a cultural rebalancing, because Americanization of the culture has been a process which we have been a witness to for the last several decades. Now, the limitations of everything which is West-centric or Eurocentric, now people have realized them, and therefore they are looking at with great expectations towards the Indic culture.
You know, Mr. Sahasrabuddhe, you've just said that Lord Ram also is held dear by many Muslims. We had Mr. Farooq Abdullah, who said that Ram doesn't just belong to Hindus, he belongs to everyone. However, this is also coming in the context of a lot of politicization that has happened of the Ram Mandir inauguration. How do you, for one, assess the political commentary that we have seen over the Pran Pratishtha?
No. In fact, because of politicization of Ram temple issue by the secularists, and Mr. Farooq Abdullah represents those secularists in a way, and now they have realized that henceforth we just cannot oppose the idea of Ram temple being reconstructed in Ayodhya, and therefore Mr. Farooq Abdullah, in a way, the situation has compelled him to say that Ram is not just of the Hindus, he doesn't belong only to the Hindus, and Ram is of the entire nation. This is a wisdom lately dawned on him, which I welcome, obviously. It's a good thing that he has realized that, and that has been what we have been saying all along. We never said that Ram belongs only to Hindus. Ram is like a national hero. That has been our contention all along. And I'm happy that it has now dawned to Mr. Farooq Abdullah and people like him. And therefore, the politicization, what you are talking about, we are at the receiving end of that politicization. You know, in Somnath, for example, in 1950s, when Dr. Rajendra Prasad, our former president, decided to go for the resurrection of a renovated Somnath temple, people in the government, including Prime Minister of that time, Jawaharlal Nehru, had opposed it. And that opposition was political, I would say. Mr. Rajendra Prasad going there as President of India was not at all political, because India and the idea of India will be incomplete if we don't include, let's say, Somnath temple or the Ayodhya temple or Kashi Vishwanath temple. Can we imagine India without these temples? We cannot.